So did you know that emotional trauma of any sort can actually cause brain damage in the brain? The three areas of the brain that are mostly affected by emotional trauma and narcissistic abuse in particular is the hippocampus, the amygdala, and the prefrontal cortex. And I'm just going to go over briefly what the three organs within the brain, or areas of the brain that are responsible for brain damage. Our hippocampus is where we have our memories, and we store our trauma and our traumatic events in our life. And this is what can cause memory loss. So when the hippocampus is damaged, over a long period of time, it actually shrinks in size. And this is going to continue to deteriorate over time the longer that you stay in an abusive situation. So you'll find that your memory is not there, or you struggle with remembering things, because this is where our present and our past memories survive in trauma in the hippocampus. Our amygdala is where we feel basic emotions. It controls our breathing, our heart rate, and it also is our fight and flight response. So when we're in a constant state of hypervigilance and fight or flight, our bodies are not meant to stay in that, our brains are not meant to stay in that. And this is what creates a constant state of stress, fear, and anxiety, and can actually cause the amygdala to grow larger in size, which damages it. And it leads to our constant fear, okay? Our bodies don't know the difference between a bear chasing you and missing the bus. So when we don't have safe environments because we're living within traumatic and emotional trauma all the time, our bodies stay in that fight or flight. And so there's fear, anxiety, and being hypervigilant. Now, then the last part of the brain that is drastically affected by trauma or emotional trauma is the prefrontal cortex. And this will actually shrink in size as well, just like the hippocampus. And this is where our decision-making comes into play and our attention span. So you'll find that when you are constantly in a state of emotional trauma or experiencing it on a regular basis, our prefrontal cortex is affected by us not being able to make decisions. So you're extremely indecisive, or your attention span is incredibly short. This is why CPTSD and ADHD are very closely linked, okay? Or why they're comorbid, or why they have sort of the same traits, as there's a pinball machine going off in your brain all the time. So this is how the brain is affected by trauma long term, or any sort of emotional trauma from being emotionally abused. So just so you know, you are not crazy, and there's a reason as to why you are suffering with all of these different issues or symptoms of emotional abuse. Stay tuned, because I'm going to teach everybody how they can actually alleviate a lot of these things using EOs and the science behind them.